welcome to a new hour here on Fox Weather. You're watching Weather Command. I'm Stephen Morgan.
And I'm Marissa Torres. Thanks for joining us. It is Wednesday, September 17th, and new this hour, we have Tropical Storm Gabrielle. And an update to the forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center. Not much has changed, but again, that name is certainly of note.
Yeah, Gabrielle is now eyeing perhaps Bermuda. We've got a lot of time to watch it between now and then, but you see the latest update that just came in from the National Hurricane Center, still forecast to become a hurricane. But as we've waited nearly 3 weeks to be exact for a named storm in the Atlantic Basin, well, we have it now. Let's bring in Fox Weather Hurricane Specialist Bryan Norcross for some additional analysis. Bryan, I'm just going to be honest. I'm a little surprised that this is a tropical storm, but given how it's been presenting, visible satellite looks kind of wimpy, but perhaps there is a closed low here.
Well, apparently, I was getting ready to say maybe they were going to undepress the thing and not even call it a tropical depression, because it really does not look like it has much of a circulation based on what we can see with a conventional satellite. But there is a different kind of satellite that's more like a radar from space. It's called a scatterometer, and they just recently got data from the scatterometer that gave enough confidence to go ahead and call it a tropical storm, and it found winds up to 45 miles per hour. So that's where we stand. Here we have Tropical Storm Gabrielle as of 11 o'clock Eastern time this morning, 45 miles an hour, moving north-northwest at 22. So that's a pretty good clip, but all this is very uncertain because it's just forming. And as I always say, storms that are either disorganized or just forming, the forecast and the analysis and the data is all subject to change as we move forward and the thing gets better organized. Pressure, they're estimating relatively low in order to get those 45 mile an hour winds at 1,006 millibars. All right, let's look at this close up, and what you can see is an elongated circulation like that, but what they found is winds up in here and winds down in here of sufficient strength to call it Tropical Storm Gabrielle, but it is stretched out kind of circulation, and it's just that they were able to get enough data to convince themselves that indeed there is a circulation up in here that is enough of a circulation, and the winds on the periphery, northeast and southeast of that center, are strong enough. Now, there's still plenty of dust and dry air that this thing is fighting off. Here you can see it. Look at it wrapping around in here. But there's the circulation that they're talking about, although it is kind of actually elongated, more like that. But apparently there's just enough in there to get called a tropical storm for now. But as it moves up in this direction, it's going to move over warmer water and have a more conducive atmosphere to development. So that's the thought from the Hurricane Center. So there's the cone that you were showing just a moment ago, and you see the wind speeds in the forecast, 50, 50, 65. And then we get Monday, so 85 miles per hour. And obviously Bermuda is kind of in the way of this thing, except that the consensus of the computer forecast is that it's going to turn before there. But as we always say, disorganized systems yield forecasts that are subject to revision, subject to change, and subject to high errors. So obviously everybody in Bermuda needs to be watching this. And that 85 mile an hour figure, by the way, is just the kind of the average of a big swing in possibilities from very strong hurricane to pretty weak system. So lots of uncertainties, but heading in the general direction of Bermuda. Here's our exclusive Fox Weather tropical threat graphic. There you can see where the system is here, because this data actually comes from last evening. So some of that's already happened, obviously, but heading in the direction of Bermuda. But then look, hanging a hard right as the upper level winds come in here and blow very strong this way. So the consensus right now, this is the European, the GFS, and the Google DeepMind AI model, kind of looking at how all of them taken together analyze this, show it not affecting Bermuda in a big way, but it's too close to call here at this point. Actually, you know, there was one other thing I wanted to show you on this map, and that's this cluster over here. This is actually unrelated to the tropical storm, related to another system just coming off of Africa. Gives us a low probability, but not a zero probability of something eventually happening kind of in the southern Bahamas. Just something to keep an eye on for next week. Certainly no development is forecast there at this point. All right, let's look at Gabrielle. So here it is, and here you see moisture on one side and then dry air on the other side, and there is the so-called circulation. All right, here we go forward in time. And now it's gaining in circulation. Here we are over the weekend, and now it's got a good, healthy circulation southeast of Bermuda, tropical storm or hurricane at that point. We're talking late in the weekend. But then watch what happens here. It kind of goes up toward Bermuda, gets there about Monday, and then hangs right quickly and speeds on off into the Atlantic. So it's going to be a close call. Bermuda's a relatively small island in a big ocean. You have to get kind of unlucky to get a direct hit, but obviously watching there, and certainly big waves likely on that island.